Welcome back. We continue the conversation with Alan Fritz, President of Swimming South Africa. He wants the big job in South Africa, presidency of SASCOC. The elections penned down for the 28th of March. Alan, let's continue the conversation. I left you with that something to think about in regards to where your federation is, Swimming South Africa, and where SASCOC is as the mother body of all sports in the country. One sitting there, I'm a delegate, but why should I vote for Alan? His federation is not doing the best. They've got a good history, but the past couple of years, maybe they could have been better. Yeah, there's no doubt, obviously, that swimming is still the best federation in this country. Just a correction, the reason for Zone 4, we use it for developmental purposes. It's no use for us sending our strongest team to a zonal competition. It will demoralize the other countries. But it tests the depth. Yes. The point is, Alan, it tests the depth of where we are with that development, because you'd want our development structures to be able to get the better of Zimbabwe. Botswana were better us on the long. And we created an environment for, let's call it, for lack of a better word, the SADC environment, to compete effectively. But if you really want to see the depth of African swimming and vis-a-vis South Africa, the senior African champions will tell you that, and that's in April after our national championships. Yeah. Relating to your second question to SASCOC, I never had the thought of running for presidency for SASCOC, nor the board of SASCOC, and that's well known within my federation. There was 6 or 7 national federations that asked me to stand as president, believing in my ability to contribute in making SASCOC great again, including my own federation. Said, Alan, we would prefer that you make yourself available to stand as the president of SASCOC, and that's where the interest came from. I personally had no interest in that. Many politicians would say that, but anyway, where do you start? I say, where do you start? We're caught in limbo, aren't we, in as far as sports worldwide is concerned right now. You've got the coronavirus situation going on. If you're already preparing for Japan, as you should be, with less than 6 months to go, most of the time our athletes, our swimmers in particular, are in Italy preparing for that. Where are they now? Where are you in town as far as those preparations are concerned? Are we sending a team there? 1, 2. I'm putting you this tough question, because the question would be, if you are sending a team there, why are you sending a team there? Because it's obviously would not be safe, would it? You're talking about to Japan? To the Japan? Because everything's about Japan. The decision right now from the IOC is that the games will go ahead. The decision from host Japan is that they're ready to host the game. They have all precautionary measures in place. The decision that and correspondence we receive from the World Health Organization correlates with the discussions that are happening in the IOC and the communication that we receive. At the same time, SASCOC has disseminated the same information. So our program on readiness is continuing. We are, quite frankly, a little bit behind our program. But having said that, the decision has been made that the team is going to Tokyo, and we must be ready for Tokyo. I'm saying to Alan, on the 28th, you could be voted as next president of SASCOC. I'm putting it to you that, would you deem it safe, as president of SASCOC now, would you make a decision and say, look, we'd rather not go because surely there will be athletes, there will be South Africans who are saying, what's the use? Because surely this pandemic of the coronavirus will not be solved come July. Question is, President of SASCOC, Alan Fritz is voting, and come the 28th, you have to make the decision, because these are the decisions that you, as the president of the job that you want to do, will have to make. And South Africans will not be happy, to be honest. Yeah, I actually was faced with that very situation before I walked into your studio. We have got teams going to the Czech Republic, water polo. There was about 16 to 20 parents that called me and wanted to know different things in terms of if they're stuck at Dubai or they're stuck at the airport, or one kid has got fever. Right now, there's no indication. I'm not a medical practitioner, but there's no... But knowing what you know right now, knowing what I know right now, I would support that the games go ahead, unless otherwise advised by the authorities, which is the IOC and the host Japan. Okay, let's come back to the job at hand, and as far as you are concerned, the one that you want. Where do you start? Alan's now voting come the 28th. There's a lot to take on board. I spoke earlier in the last segment, the Ministerial Commission that came through, a lot of things that were exposed.
the Confederation is not sitting pretty. How does Alan come in and change and bring it back into the conference of not only us, but the sporting fraternity, the federations that you expected to be the mother body of? How do you bring it back to conference? Secondly, are there any plans to implement some of the findings from that Ministerial Committee of Inquiry?
Let me just quickly say, the only thing I know in life is sport. I know what is it to carry the kit bag of the rugby team or the cricket team. I know what it is to be the president of a club. I know what it is to coach rugby. I know what it is to coach swimming. I've been through the ranks and right up to being involved in the International Federation, and that's FINA. I know that SASCOC is a big ask to fix, and I'm quite frank when I say that, yes, the wheels came off at SASCOC. There's a number of failures. There's governance failures, and the Commission has proved that.
Yeah.
Our job is, SASCOC belongs to the nation. SASCOC doesn't belong to individuals. And we as SASCOC officials must serve the nation, because the national athletes are assets of our country. Our focus should clearly be athlete-centered, support for the coach. If we do those things right, we're going to get the performance that this country wants.
Where you
So let me just say, there's no doubt in my mind, when rugby started focus on the players and on the coach, I don't have to repeat the success that we've seen. Okay. And for me, I would start in ensuring that the administration of SASCOC, full-time employees, focus on delivering on the athletes. The board is an oversight organization. Ensure that governance and compliance are the order of the day, and we will have a SASCOC back at work.
One could say it's easier said than done. We know, I mean, I know personally with SASCOC, having done particular athletic Olympics stories and things with our federations since the year 2000, there's always, every now and then, a federation pops up, is suspended. I mean, it's either athletics, which happened a couple of years ago, from shooting to squash. There's a lot on one's plate if you're the boss. The question is, are you the man to sit back and have to make that decision if an athletics, for example, I'm not saying they're suspended, I'm saying an athletics, for example, a tough decision like that has to be made by Alan Fritz, who's president of SASCOC, because they're either not doing the right thing, they're not fulfilling their quotas in terms of transformation, for whatever reason. Are we willing to make the big decisions? Because one of the most important things that we ask about the previous boards is that they're not tough where they have to be tough. There's fingers in the jar. They'd rather let things slide.
I come from a very successful corporate career. I've been a chief executive, I've been an HR executive, I've been a marketing executive, and so on. So I understand how to resolve conflict within organizations. That's my training. I understand when to take tough decisions, because in the corporate environment, you don't have time. Time's not on your side if you build a business. And the same business principles I would like to see implemented in SASCOC. I would like to see that the administration perform at its best, because SASCOC is about high performance. I would like to see oversight bodies, the executive board, its subcommittees, comply with statutory requirements first and foremost, and secondly with the stringent measures ensuring that we manage the risk of the organization and we are prudent in what we do.
Alan Fritz, unfortunately we've run out of time. Thank you indeed for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck come the 28th of March with the elections are held there for the presidency of SASCOC. But tomorrow, it's somebody you're going up against will be sitting in that seat. We'll announce it a bit later on. In fact, one of our, SASCOC have told me that I think Kaya Maja will be sitting in that seat. We're asking the same questions as we're asking you, tough ones, because at the end of the day, South Africans would like to know who the man that's running their federation or the committee at the end of the day is up to the task. Alan, thank you very much.
I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we go, Alan, let's